Today's title is Key to be Fruitful. We're going to look from Matthew 13:3. Jesus started teaching to the people, and then this is what he said to them. He started talking in parables, and he said, "Behold, a sower went forth to sow." Okay, let's all say this together. Behold, a sower went forth to sow. So the sower came out and he wanted to sow. We're going to continue, but before we continue, I have a question for you. If I give you seeds right now and ask you to sow, would you be the sower?
Yes.
Yes, you would be the sower. And you have seeds inside and you are ready to sow. Okay? So he continued and he said, "Listen, a sower went out to sow. As he was sowing, some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and ate them. The other seeds fell on the stony ground, where they did not have a lot of soil." They did not have what?
A lot of soil.
A lot of soil. Remember that. They sprouted at once because the soil wasn't deep. But when the sun came up and they were scorched, since they did not have any roots, they dried up. They did what?
Dried up.
They dried up. Other seeds fell among the thorn bushes, and the thorn bushes grew higher and higher and choked them out. But other seeds fell on good soil. On which soil?
Good soil.
Good soil. And produced a crop 100-fold, 60 and 30. Let the person who has ear listen. We're going to look at the word sower and to sow. It's in Greek is used the same word, which means I sow, spread, and scattered. So the sower and the to sow, it's the same word. So the sower went out and he started sowing the seed. And Jesus finished the parable, and the disciples came to him in private and they said, "Jesus, could you explain to us the parable that you just said? We didn't understand what you meant." And this is what he said to his disciples. "Therefore, hear the parable of the sower. When someone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is he who received the seed by the wayside." This is he who received the seed where?
By the wayside.
By the wayside, meaning along the path. "But he who received the seed on the stony places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures only for a while." Endures how much?
For a while.
For a while. "For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. Now he who received the seed among the thorns is he who hears the word, who hears the word, and the cares of this world, the deceitfulness of riches, chokes the word." Does what? Chokes the word. "And he becomes unfruitful. But he who received the seed on the ground is he who hears the word, who understands it, and then produces. Some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. So we agreed that if the person had the seed, then they become the sower, right? The seed now, it's the word of God, because we here Jesus is saying, when anyone hears the word of the kingdom, what is the word of the kingdom? It's the good news of the gospel. Amen. When someone comes and says, Jesus loves you and he died for you, and if you receive him as your savior, you are saved. That's the seed that we plant every time we sow the word of God. So the seed, if the the seed is the word of God, then every person that speaks the word of God becomes the sower, right?
Amen.
Now I want you to turn to each other and say this. I am a sower and I am seeding and I am sowing the word of God. That's right. Every time we say someone about God's love, about what he had done on the cross, we are doing what? Sowing seeds. That's right. We are sowing seeds. So we are going to look at 4 types of people. From what Jesus explained, the first person was the person along the path. The person on the wayside. The second type of the person is the person that is, the seed went on the stony ground. Did not have roots deep enough. The third one, received it, right? And then it's the one in the thorn bushes. What Jesus explained what happened. I'm going to go in details. And the fourth one is the good soil, right? It was the good soil that was introduced. The seed was introduced. So, the first one fell along the path and the birds came and ate them. Meaning, he heard the word but did not understand. Remember what Jesus said. The first person is the person who heard the word but they did not understand. This person is a person, bystander, is not interested in knowing or is not interested in the things of God. Does not matter how many times you tell this person, they are not interested to know. They are not into it. They want to live their lives for some reason, and they're not interested in spiritual things. So this is the first person. They are bystander. So you are going to sow seeds in people that you will encounter. All these 4 types. The second one is the one that the seed fell on the ground, on the stony ground, and did not have a lot of soil. The stony ground, I could say, is the person who has a hardened heart. Got offended, either with church members or pastors or with God. Their answers, their prayers were not answered. They followed God for a while and then they saw, look, you know what? No, this is not working for me. God is not answering my prayers. So God must not exist. This is the person who has a stony heart. Then what happens with this person? The trouble comes and the persecution comes. And because they are not rooted in the Word of God, what do? Is they stumble. They immediately fall away. It says he endures only for a while. Just for a while. His excitement is for a while. If you listen to this, it says he heard the word and he received it with joy. He heard the word and he received it with joy. But then because he did not have root, he stumbled when the difficulties came. This person is also a person who receives the Lord but doesn't go to church. If a person does not go to church and does not read the Word of God, even though they receive it immediately, they receive it with joy, they will not grow. They will not have roots. Where when the difficulties come, it would uphold them. The third type of a person was the person who the seed went into the thorn bushes. There was the thorn bushes around the person. This is the person who hears the word, who grows in a while, has roots, certain amount of it, but the worries of life, deceitfulness of riches, the world calls them back. And then it chokes the seed, it chokes the word, and it does not produce a crop. This means the person, it aborts the purposes of God in their life. They follow God for a certain time. They go to church a little bit. They learn certain things. They put the roots a little way. But when, they're not, because of the world is still calling them, they go back. This person is a person, I can liken this person to someone who goes to university, who finishes high school, who goes to university, who studies, and then he finishes, but at workplace, at the workforce, he cannot work at the workforce. He cannot produce. He's not productive. He's not fruitful. So imagine he has all this education, but no paycheck. Right? We would say probably in the world, that person, why did you go and get this degree? If you're not going to produce it, if you're not going to be fruitful in your life. This is that person. I could liken that person with this third person is that type. Learns a little bit and then is like, the world is calling me. I want to get rich. I want to do my own things. The fourth person is the person who is in the good soil. I could liken the good soil that they found a good Bible-based church. They found pastors who speak life into their lives, who tells them how to grow, who helps them. When they fail, they stumble, the pastor picks them up. But they allow the pastor to do that because the other three aren't in the church. Or the third person is in the church, but doesn't allow the pastor to help them to come back from the world. The good soil is also the Word of God. The fourth person is that person who reads the Word, who understands it, who contemplates, who just thinks about it. And that person hears the Word. But this is the thing. All the other three before the four, they all heard the Word. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yes, it says in the Bible, Jesus said that. They all heard it. This fourth person heard it too. But there is a difference between the fourth one and the other three. And the difference is this. He not only heard it, but he understood it, then he produced. Right. If you do not understand, you will not produce. And what do you produce? He produced 160 and 30 times. Wow, what a harvest from one seed to come. So this person is not only the person who heard the Word, understood the Word, but also produced it. Jesus compared to production, he compared the seed with the human. And he said the production of this seed, in order for us to understand, we have to look at how the natural process of seed that produces starts. The question is this: what does this person understood that the other three didn't? If you understand this, you will be productive. The fourth person, okay, let's look at how the seed produces. When I put a seed in the soil, I have to water the soil. And then I have to wait. If someone comes and looks at that soil, they're going to say this soil is barren. But because I know I have seeds in there, for me there is an anticipation of fruitfulness coming from that soil. Amen. Because I know what I planted in that soil. The seed has to stay in the soil. Even though if it's not comfortable for the seed, it's dark and wet, and it had to die in the soil. And the seed probably saying, I'm too uncomfortable. I want to get out. I want to see the sun. But the sower is saying to the seed, the sun is not good for you. You need to produce. The sun will scourge you. Take out the productivity from you. But the seed has to stay and stay and stay day after day, and wait for its process to start and finish. If the seed decides they don't like the soil and they want to come out, they will cut off the process of productivity. The seed has to stay in the soil until the process of dying is complete.
Amen.
The sprout then comes up, but still is weak and needs the time to be nurtured. And the sprouted seed needs the nurture and the water. Now it needs the sunlight. This is the time for the sun to be exposed. Someone needs to take that time to water that seed. If we don't water that seed, the seed will die. That sprout will die. And there are weeds needs to be taken out so the weeds will not choke the good production, the crop. Then day after day, after nurture and nurture and nurture, the sprout becomes stronger, and then it starts producing. There is a season for the sprout to produce. It needs to be strong. It needs to be matured. Otherwise, it will not produce. So far, the dying of the seed is not the end, but the beginning of a new life.
Amen.
I'm going to say it again. Dying for that seed is not the end, but the beginning of a new life. Let's look at what the Bible says. In 1 Corinthians 15:36 and 37, this is what it's written. You fool, the seed you plant does not come to life unless it dies. And what do you plant is not the form that it will be, but a bare kernel, whether it is wheat or something else. So the seed goes into the soil, but when it's ready to sprout, when it's sprouting, it changes. It's not the same, it doesn't have the same nature anymore. It changed. Look what Jesus said in John 12:24. Truly, truly, I say unto you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces a lot of grain. Jesus is using this concept of the seed to make a comparison with a person, because that's the principle of becoming fruitful. You could say, what does this really mean? Why is Jesus saying that we need to die in order for us to produce? How can a person die if they are still living? How does that process look like for me and you? Why would Jesus make such a negative statement? Many Christians hear this, and I heard it many times. But I heard it in a connotation of negative. You have to die. You have to die. Dying is not an easy process. Why would Jesus say such a negative thing? Didn't he say he came to give us life and he gave us an abundant life? But wait a minute. Is this contradicting to what Jesus said? Why is he saying that he wants to give us an abundant life? Then he's saying to us, you need to die. I am confused, you could say, and not understand and fall into those category of men who don't understand, and that's why they've fallen away. Those three category of people, along the wayside, the stony ground, and the thorn bushes. Those three are all those people who do not understand the concept, who do not want to understand the concept, and that's why they become fruitless. And Jesus said, If my Father sees the tree does not bear fruit, he will cut that tree. We don't want to be cut off from our inheritance. We want to produce. The key is this. We need to understand. Remember the fourth person, the reason he or she was productive or fruitful, it's because not only they heard, but they also understood. What did they understand? And why and how they come to this understanding? We need to understand that dying does not mean I cannot have dreams. But dying means I give my dreams to Him who gives me better dreams.
Hallelujah, that's right. Dying to self.
He gives you not only better dreams, but also He enables you to become a better person, to become a better professional, to become better parents. Because He knows life begins with Him.
Amen.
Dying to yourself does not mean you cannot have a future. But what it means, He gives you a better future. A future that you could probably never dream for yourself.
That's right.
A future that you would never dare to even think about it. But then God comes and says, you want to do this, but I have greater purpose for you.
Amen.
Like for me, I thought that medical billing and coding that's it. It was my profession. I chose that and I was working in that and I had plans. But then God said, I have better plans for you. I had a dream to teach medical billing and coding at the colleges. I wanted to come to that level where I could teach. I guess the gift of teaching was in me. I just hadn't understand what I was supposed to teach. I wanted to teach billing and coding. That's a good profession. But what I'm teaching now, it's much greater.
Amen.
It has much more purpose, much more value than just billing and coding.
That's right.
And God called me out. And I remember I went to apply. I came to that place where I reached that level. And I went to apply for college and they wanted to hire me. And when I came home, the Lord said, that's not what you're supposed to do. And at that time, I wasn't teaching. That's the only thing I knew. But God said, no. I had to die to my profession. I had to die to my future. But now I see the future that He had for me was much greater than the future that I thought about myself.
Amen.
It cannot be compared. I see how God is transforming people day after day, week after week, during the week, over the phone, over the seas, and in the church. And I'm amazed at the work He did because I yielded
Hallelujah.
my future to Him.
Amen. Amen.
Don't be afraid to die to your future and take the future that He has for you because it's much greater than we have for ourselves.
That's right.
Dying to yourself, it doesn't mean you cannot have wants or needs. The seed dies, but when the new life begins, it has a need to be nurtured. It has the owner who nurtures that seed. You are not alone anymore. You decide to die to your wants and needs. You have an owner who's standing right beside you. And when you are in that season of difficulty and you're saying, I can't do this anymore, your owner is saying, yes, you can, because I'm nurturing you with my power. I am here with my love. I'm here with my grace. I will bestow mercy on you.
Amen.
I will shorten the season for you so you can come out of it. Your needs and your wants will change, towards growth, towards expansion, towards a higher purpose. God will say to you, you die to your need of addiction because I have a better plan for you. You need and want takes you to failure, to corruption, but my plan gives you peace and a better future.
Amen. Praise God.
Dying to yourself does not mean you cannot have financial success or financial goals. Meaning you trust God with your finances. You give Him your finances and you say, whatever I am earning right now, it's because of you.
Yes.
And it is my thankfulness to give it back to you. Dying to yourself does not mean you neglect yourself. What it means is you invite the Holy Spirit and you become the temple of the Holy Spirit. Now you have a greater responsibility to take care of your mind and your body. Many of us eat every day. But when it comes to our thinking, we don't take care of the way we think. We take the negative things about us, about others, the images that we carried, the insecurities that we have, and we let those things to define us. God is saying, die to that. God, die to that. That's not your identity in me. You are serving me. You are my son. You are my daughter. You belong to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And He's saying, my plans for you are peace and not of evil. I have good future for you. God is saying to you, don't neglect yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of the way you think. If our thinking is not aligning with the Word of God, we need to change that and toss it away. That's what it means, dying to yourself. Dying to yourself does not mean you have to stop living. But what it means, I am living in His peace, joy, and love. Life from heaven that flows through my veins. Dying to yourself does not mean you have to constantly think or serve God. Think about God and serve Him. It means you trust the Holy Spirit. He will guide you to serve Him. And then at the same time, you live your new life. Dying to yourself does not mean you will not have problems. Remember, the sprout sprouted, but has a new dilemma. It needs to survive. And the nurturer came and nurtured it, and the seed became fruitful. The sprout became fruitful. So many people don't understand this. And that's why they don't want to come close to God. They think if they give their hearts to God, God is going to say, give everything to me and live on the streets. Or people are afraid that if they come to God and really dedicate their lives to Him, they will become a pastor or a missionary. That's not everybody's call. Wherever God is calling you, not everybody can be a pastor or a missionary. We need Christians in the corporate world to tell people about Christ. I remember many years ago when my foot problem started, I went to the doctor and they recommended orthotics. I never knew about orthotics. I never wore one, and it was so uncomfortable. You feel like there is like this hard surface under your foot and you have to constantly walk on that inside of your shoes. I hated that thing. They told me I have to break it down 20 minutes and then walk without it and then 20 minutes again. It started hurting me more, and I hated that thing. I tried so many times I couldn't. I threw it away. I didn't throw it away, but I put it on one corner of the house. Then one time, the problem wasn't going away. One time, my husband found a good doctor. And we went to see him. During the visit, he explained to me the importance of the orthotics. And he actually took out his shoe, took his orthotics from his shoe, and he showed it to me. He said, Sona, you know how many years or how many hours I worked on my feet? If I had not worn the orthotics, I would have problems on my back and on my feet. He said, this orthotics kept me going through my residency, through my internship. And the way he explained to me, I understood it. Now it clicked to me. I have to wear the orthotics. If doctor is wearing one, I need to wear it. Because my understanding changed, I came home, I found the orthotics, I put it in my shoe, and a day after I got used to it, I was amazed. How come? All these years I could not understand. I didn't want to use that thing, but now my understanding changed. And I was comfortable with that. And I'm still wearing it. Because it's so comfortable. I see the benefit. You know, this is just one simple example. But many Christians do not understand the benefit of dying. They think they're going to leave everything, they're going to be zombies or robots, that if whatever God says they have to do, we're serving a loving God. We have to understand His plans and purposes for us are much greater. Amen. And that's why He's saying to us, give that to me. Yes. Give your fears to me. That's your old nature. Give your anxiety to me. That's your old nature. Give your unbelief to me. That's your old nature. Give your sickness to me. That's your old nature. And take the new one. Amen. Look what it says in Romans 6:6. We know that our old nature were crucified with Him, so that our sin-laden bodies might be rendered powerless, and we might no longer be slaves to sin. For the person who has died has been freed from sin. You know, worry is a sin. Yeah. Fear is a sin, because we're not trusting God. Look, if you die to your old self, all those things will die with it. Let me ask you this. Have you visited a dead man? I mean, have you seen a funeral? That's what I mean. Yes. Not paying a visit to a dead man. I mean, a memorial or a funeral, right? Yes. Whatever is spoken in that time, good or bad, or whatever people gossip behind that dead person and say, you know how bad this person was, or you know how good this person was, do you think that person hears? No. Or do you think that person cares? No. That's what it means to be dead. You are dead to your fears. Whatever comes your way, you are not afraid, because you are dead to that old nature. It's Christ that lives in you.
Right. The hope of glory.
Colossians 3:9 and 10. Do not lie to one another, for you have stripped off the old nature with its practices, and have clothed yourself with new nature, which is being renewed in full knowledge, consistent with the image of the one who created you.
Amen.
Amen.
2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in the Messiah, he is a new creation. All things have disappeared, have gone. And look, behold, all things have become new. That's the secret of productivity and fruitfulness. But again, this is the thing. Remember, Jesus said that the fourth person was fruitful 100, 60, or 30. Sometimes we want to be fruitful 100. It doesn't start like that. It starts little by little. It starts probably with 10, 5, even 1. Then it grows and grows and grows. As I tell many people, I tell the Sunday school kids, I say, I did not become a pastor in one day. I told this children's ministry a couple of weeks ago, I said, listen kids, if God said this to me 10 years ago, you have to leave my job and go and preach the gospel and follow me, I would say, oh no, I can't do that. Because I was not dead at that time. I still was pursuing a certain amount of time my dreams, my career, my ways. Do you know when I took the call and the fears were gone? It was when I was in my darkest hour of my life. Never in my life I felt like that. I felt I lost hope and I did not want to live. In that desperate moment, my coworker that was a believer, and she was a new hire. I didn't even know she was a believer. She saw me very, very sad. I could not even stand working. I was going to the restroom crying and coming and working, and then after a while I had to go and cry and then come back. Everybody saw in the office, but they were afraid to ask. They were asking, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. And this lady came and she told me, we need to go to lunch. We went to lunch together, and apparently I found out she's a born-again Christian, and she's like, girl, what's going on with you? And she was sitting next to me. She's like, I see, and the restroom was right behind her office. She's like, I see what you're doing. You're getting out, going into the restroom, crying, then wiping your tears, coming and working again. What's going on with you? What is this thing that's bothering you so much? And I start crying again. And I couldn't hold it. And I told her what was happening in my life. And I told her, I lost hope. I can't continue like this anymore. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to follow God anymore. I don't want to go to church anymore. And she said this to me. You have to go and fast and pray and ask God to speak to you. She encouraged me. And I went and I fasted. And I said to God, I am dead anyway, so I'm not going to eat or drink until you speak to me, because I don't feel anything. I was dead. I didn't have any emotions. I didn't want to live. I lost hope. I didn't know how I was going to continue another day. And it was that weekend when the Lord confirmed my calling, our calling as husband and wife. And it was that moment my joy came back to me. And I said, yes, Lord, I will. Later, many couple of months later, I realized I was always afraid of going into ministry. That ministry was prophesied over our lives, even way before we met each other. Separately, for me, separately to Pastor Nazareth, there was a prophecy. But I was always afraid. I was dreading that day would not come. I was hoping that day was going to come when I was 65, 70, and I'm retired, then I'm going to serve God. That's no problem. But then it came sooner. And I realized I didn't have fear. And when I examined, I realized it was in 2009 when I was dead to my dreams and desires. And then I had to become alive with Christ. Now the hope of glory lives in me.
Amen.
Amen.
That yes, we have difficult days. Every single day we go through difficulty. But the fear is not there.
Amen.
Because I'm dead to myself. And I live with Christ. It was in that time when my understanding was changed. When is your understanding going to change? Are you going to allow Him to change your understanding today with this preaching, with this message? Are you going to be able to say this, Lord? I want to die to my dreams so I can have your dreams. I want to die to my fears so I can be courageous in you. See, this is the thing. The secret is this. We have to understand. We are dying something bad and getting resurrected for something much greater and good.
Yes. Amen.
Jesus did not die, and Jesus died, but Jesus did not stay dead
Amen.
more than 3 days.
Yes.
After the third day, Jesus himself was resurrected.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
And he holds the resurrection power. And he says, come to me. Whoever comes to me and gives everything to me, I will resurrect their dreams, their lives, their marriages, everything that they're struggling with right now. I have the power to resurrect.
That's right. Thank you, Jesus.
He has. He has the ability, the power, and the willingness. What is it that you want to die today and take what he has for you? We're going to worship one more song. The last song that we sang, we're going to sing together, and I'm going to invite you to come to the front and say, Lord, today I choose to die to my fears, to die to my plans, to die to myself so I can live for Christ. Amen?
Amen.
All right. Thank you, Jesus. As we are singing, you can come forward. If you want to come and worship God at the altar, you can come forward. More than watching us on Facebook, and we're going to disconnect and we'll continue to prayers. This is the message. When you choose to die to yourself, that's when your addiction will stop. That's where your depression will stop. That's when you will choose to follow the life that is within you. That is when you are going to be set free. And I pray that you would understand this and choose to follow Christ in such a way that you would become fruitful. Be blessed in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.